Hello class, this is Mr. Sims and we're in Unit 4 in 8th grade math, and this unit we're going to start talking about concepts in geometry. I was able to figure out how to record with my document camera, which I think is just a little bit easier. My handwriting should be better. So you are going to need a ruler for today's lesson. Alright, reading our intro. A good portion of 8th grade math is devoted to geometry. Geometry is the study of math from your lesson vocab. Governs physical space, both two-dimensional and three-dimensional. We will concentrate at two-dimensional or plane geometry, which occurs in a flat plane. That's all we really focus on in 8th grade. So it's just some definitions. This first lesson is just about getting definitions and understanding what words are. A point is a physical location in space that has no length, width, or depth. It's just a point. Has 0 dimension and is typically drawn with a very small circle and labeled with a capital letter. A line is a set of connected points that extends forever in two directions. Okay, so usually we denote that by drawing arrows through. A line is typically measured using 2 or more points on a line by a lowercase letter. And it's usually how it's labeled. All right, so in our exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to draw A and B and C and D. Now, you can barely see this, but there's arrows on both ends. That's how we symbolize that we're drawing a line through A and B. So what we would do is you take your ruler, or straight edge, and we're going to draw a line from A going through B. And you're going to notice that it does go through D as well. We put arrows on both ends. And we're going to draw a line CD going through those. And arrows on both ends. Okay, so this would be C and D. Okay. When 3 points all lie on the same line, they are called collinear. That was also in the lesson vocab. Okay. So what we would do is we would name 3 points that are collinear and 3 points that are not collinear in the diagram. So 3 collinear points would be points that are on the same line. So points A, D, and B are collinear. Points that are not collinear would be like A and then C and then B. Or you could say A and then D and then C, or B and then D and then C. Okay, there's 3 points that don't. Why can't we find the length or measure of a line CD? Well, the reason is because it has infinite length. Because it goes on forever in each direction. Oops, sorry, I moved down, you can't see. So it has infinite length. All right? Many times we only want to use a portion of a line instead of the whole thing. Okay, and they could be in the forms of rays and segments. So rays and segments, 2 other words that come up a lot in geometry. Okay, and these are words I think that maybe you had seen before, maybe not in the last couple of years, but a ray is a portion of a line that has a starting point and extends forever. So starting point and end point, and extends forever in one direction. Once again, that's also one of the lesson vocab words. A segment is a portion of a line that has a starting and an ending point. So a ray is something where you have a point and the line goes forever. And a segment is where you have 2 endpoints and it actually stops. So this is just introduction vocab into starting concepts in geometry. All right, so in the second exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to be drawing certain things. So we're going to draw a ray. Okay. Now the way that these go, and a lot of this first unit is about notation, about how things are represented in geometry, and it is very specific. Given the point shown, draw a ray. So I know you can barely see this, but this really, a ray, it'll have like an arrow pointing, which means that my endpoint starts at D. So if I'm drawing a ray starting at D and going through C, then I start at D and I draw through C, and the arrow goes past the C because it is directional. Okay, we'll draw rays MN and MP. So MN starts at M and goes through N, arrow going past the N, and MP starting at M and going through P. All right, exercise 3. In each of the 3 diagrams below, 2 identical points are shown. Draw each of the following using a straight edge. So we're going to draw a segment through RS. A segment just means you just connect the points. So in this one, we would just take R and connect S. A ray starting at R and going through S. So we start at R and we go through S, and then line RS, they go in both directions. Like I said, these are the very basics. Actually, what's nice is that there's not really any math involved. Okay, and I highly recommend using rulers in this case. Don't try to freehand these. We want to try to make our geometry shapes nice and neat. All right, so it is often the case that we name geometric objects using different names. It's important to be able to recognize when two things are the same. So points E, F, and G are collinear. You can see they're drawn. They're on the same, remember that's one of those new words, I believe. Same line. For each problem, state whether the two geometric objects are named the same or different. Okay, so this is segments EF and FG. So E to F and F to G are not the same. You're talking about from E to F and F to G, two different segments. Ray, E to F, and ray, E to G. These are the same because they have the same endpoint and they're going through the same points. Okay? This is representing lines EG and FE. Well, they are the same because E and F both directions is going to be the same as, or sorry, E and G both directions is going to be the same as F and E both directions. Okay, and these look like they're rays. Ray GE versus ray FE. The ray starting at G and going to E through E, and starting at F and going through E are not the same. All right, and that's really what this first lesson is about. It's just recognizing, really, it's just segments, rays, and lines. All right. And when you're figuring out what's represented, you just follow the letters. It's just like following a map. All right, for your assignment, what you're going to do is we're going to page 3. So you're just going to work on the problems from page 3 and 4. Okay, so, all right. So for lesson 1 of our first geometry lesson, this is Mr. Sims signing off.